Hello, everyone. My name is Diana. This is February 5th of 2025. I wanted to make a quick video in defense of Jon Uhler. First, I'll say that I am a client of his, but I'm at the stage where I believe I will not be a client of his because I've gotten so much benefit out of working from him. We're at a stage now where we're starting to collaborate and expand on different healing techniques. But I'd like to quickly state that Jon Uhler did not solicit me to do this video, nor did he suggest it or even bring it up. How it happened was I saw the um, the little video that John made about the voicemails from his daughter to him, and as I was looking at it, I saw Judith Reisman's name in his voicemail file. And it occurred to me, wow, that's a big deal, Judith Reisman. And I had already known that he had collaborated with her and he had footnotes in there. And so I just wanted to put this out there for any naysayers or anything like that, that, oh, John put her up to it. No, he did not. This was my idea. And I told him I was going to do it. And I asked him for a couple of, any corroborating information he might have. And he sent that to me. So just wanted to say that real quickly. The reason I wanted to do this is because for 20 years, transcribed a show for a man named Alan Watt. He discussed a lot of the problems in the world and exposed them, and my worldview really changed from transcribing those shows and listening to his talks. There were a couple of people that he discussed in those talks that, this is years before I ever knew or heard of or ever interacted with Jon Uhler. Alan would speak about two different people, Judith Reisman and Robert Hare. And so I'll just focus on Judith Reisman first. Judith Reisman is an author. I have her book here, and I read it years ago. It's called Sexual Sabotage: How One Mad Scientist Unleashed a Plague of Corruption and Contagion on America. Excellent book. And Alan recommended this, and I bought it and read it, and he's right. It's excellent. I'm just going to read the sleeve here. Judith Reisman, PhD, is sought worldwide to speak, lecture, testify, and counsel individuals, organizations, professionals, and governments in media forensics, the scientific analysis of images, pictures, cartoons, illustrations, pornography, and text in sexual harassment of women and children in the workplace, schools, and homes. Reisman is a consultant, scientific advisor for the California Protective Parents Association and former president of the Institute for Media Education. She has been a consultant to four U.S. Department of Justice administrations, the U.S. Department of Education, and the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Her scholarly findings have had international legislative and scientific import in the United States, Israel, South Africa, Canada, and Australia. She is the author of four previous titles, including Kinsey, Crimes, and Consequences. What I want people to know, I'm reading this to give you the import of how important this woman is and how respected her work is. And Jon Uhler worked with and consulted with her, and I wanted to share with you all proof of that. Now, this woman is not going to be interacting with someone who is a narcissist or someone who is unethical or someone who lies about their career and what they've done. John's worked in the criminal um, prison system with some of the worst psychopaths and sexual predators that they are. And Judith Reisman and he collaborated. So there's no way this woman would collaborate with a fraud. Jon Uhler is not a fraud. And so I just wanted to share some of the proofs of that. So here is a document written by Judith Reisman. This is from the Reisman Institute. This is the title of her paper, MK Ultra, Kinsey, and Rockefeller. I don't know that this, or yes, I think it was a work in progress. It may or may not be finished. I think it is finished, but here's the paper, Instruments of the New World Order, a work in progress because Judith Reisman died a couple of years ago. And in this document, and I would go through it here, but it takes you to Scribd and you have to log in. So I have the document from a different angle. Where is it? Oh, darn it. Anyway, in her paper on pages 6 and 7, you will see here, let me blow this up. Jon Uhler is in the footnotes right here. The use of such a term psychopath is not simply hyperbole. It's used in the clinical sense of the word. Academic researchers such as Robert Hare, which I'll get into in a moment, James Fallon, and forensic clinicians have spent years working with incarcerated psychopaths in long-term solitary and general populations, such as John K. Uhler, LPC, each concur that the clinical definition of a psychopath can be boiled down to someone lacking conscious empathy and remorse. So Judith Reisman references him in the same breath as Robert Hare. Excuse me. Again, he's referenced here, and again on page 7, referenced here. Let me see. It says from his 11 plus years of clinical forensic work with hundreds of incarcerated male child offenders, Jon Uhler notes that 100% of offenders with child victims possess child rape porn and 98% with child rape porn distribution. And, if you want to read this paper, contact me and I'll certainly get you in touch with it. So that's number one. Judith Reisman, this world-renowned author, publisher, I just read to you who she is, references Jon Uhler and mentions him in the same breath with Robert Hare, who is an expert on psychopathy as well. So there's that proof. Another item is this is an email sent to Jon Uhler, and Jon forwarded it to me, and I want to read it to you. It says, "This is from Jon Uhler to me." And Jon says, I was heartened to see Dr. Elizabeth Taylor from Australia posted the following comment on the video. And I'm sorry about this business here. I hate it, but I can't get rid of it. No one who knows Jon would believe any of that for a minute. So then you have to ask yourself about the people leveling these charges. What's up with them? I've known Jon for about 6 years, and he has always been immensely generous, kind, thoughtful, and wise. I had a lot of questions, and he was very patient in answering them all. There was no benefit for him from doing so. Truth told, my family owes him a debt of gratitude we can never repair. I am proud to call him my friend. Perhaps the most admirable thing about Jon, the thing that first drew me to him, the thing that first drew him to my attention anyway, is his courage in telling the truth, even though it sends the flack flying. There are not many willing to fight the battles he takes on, and somehow he still remains cheerful. I'm sorry, Jon, that your daughter is among your accusers. That must be hard. For the rest, I hope you are in a position to pay them no mind. P.S. Reed, who is Jon's son, sounds like you. He seems a really fine young man, a great credit to you. So there is another person, Dr. Elizabeth Taylor from Australia, lauding Jon Uhler. And in case you don't believe that Jon and Judith were friends and collaborators, and what I showed you, you might think is a one-off, or maybe this is a two-off. Here's an interview.
CNTV. It is the first in our history, a town hall, and what a tremendous group of guests, an honorable group indeed. This is a town hall on the media's sexualization and abuse of children. We're featuring tonight Judith A. Reisman. Dr. Reisman is notable for the Reisman Institute, an institution that protects children and has been doing so for a number of decades in terms of a force against sexual harassment, child trafficking, human trafficking, sexual abuse. Her great analysis of the Kinsey report has buttressed the conservative movement against the social media and the media wings of entertainment that have chosen to use our children, as in the movie Cuties, to be sex toys rather than to recognize them as children. It is a tremendous honor to have her here with us tonight. Also joining us is Jon Uhler. Jon Uhler, who has spent a number of years in and out of the penal system, not individually, of course, not because of anything he's done, but because of his study of those individuals who have advantaged children and adults sexually over the years. And so we are just so ecstatic to have these two people here on this night. This is the night before Halloween. And yeah, well, I'm Ken McClinton. I'm TEC TV president. And I'm so glad you went there, because as we proceed in terms of the conversation of the molestation and the hypersexualization of our children through pictures and magazines of that particular caliber, I got to ask you here, Dr. Judith. I'm not as brilliant as the two of you guys. I mean, you guys are super brains.
All
But
right, all right, all right.
I do believe, and science now has shown it, Robert Hare was the first to put a psychopath through a brain scan, color imaging, so you can see that the brain actually changes. If someone traverses down far enough, and there's a debate as to whether it's nature or nurture. I don't believe it's either, quite frankly, though each contributes.
yes.
But essentially, and when we think of psychopaths, most of us think of Alfred Hitchcock's movie Psycho.
Yeah.
That's certainly a psychopath, but that's what I call bloody psychopath. Actually, Robert Hare himself differentiates that between a psychopath and a white-collar psychopath. And he uses the idea of Bernie Madoff, who was head of NASDAQ, who made off with everybody's money. So whether or not you have, and the difference between a bloody psychopath is someone that has blood on their hands, but relatively speaking, has very few victims.
Yes.
You know, the greatest serial rapist and murderer may have, and I'm not minimizing any of this, may have about 80 victims by the time they're caught. But a pedophile who is sophisticated, who is the last person anybody thought would be doing something like that, usually has a couple hundred kids as victims. And how much more sophisticated, because by the time that person's busted, it's been over years and years. And the question is, why didn't any of those kids go to the police?
Yes.
Because they were under the control of sophisticated white-collar psychopath. Psychopathy really comes down to three things. You have violated your conscience to the point that there is no conscience left, and therefore you have no guilt and no remorse and no empathy. So there's no empathy, no remorse, and no guilt because of no conscience.
Jon, I would love to take you to a evangelical convention or a Baptist convention and ask every single one of the pastors to stand up and look out on the audience and to discern which one of them is a wolf in lamb's clothing. They will probably have a most difficult opportunity in terms of doing that. They need to get with persons like yourself and Dr. Judith to have a better understanding of what exactly they face and their congregations face. And there are people who are watching tonight around the world Dr. Judith, who honor and adore the work that you have done over the years to protect their children. You haven't even met them, but they adore and appreciate all that you have done.
But first of all, I would say tomorrow, if you haven't voted, or not tomorrow, but Tuesday, if you have not voted, I would say you better vote for President Trump
There you go.
because he has done absolutely more than all the other presidents put together, to try and help our children survive the current onslaughts. Yeah, but
Yes.
yeah, definitely, I would say, I that's my pitch.
Yes.
You know, vote for President Trump. But and after that, the important thing is to try to get uh, a means to educate the public as to what's been done to them, and to get the legislation in place. We tried to get the Kinsey Institute removed. We have
Yes.
a site that says "Stop the Kinsey Institute," and that has to be done. It can alert people. Lawsuits. And I will be glad to be party of to any lawsuits, against uh, institutions or, well, against schools that are using the Kinsey research, that are using. We went up against that in the American Law Institute, not the Model Penal Code. ALEC, American Legislative Exchange Council, had a major piece that we did, where we laid out what needed to be done in our schools, because our schools uh, are teaching our children to be deviant.
Yes.
They are teaching our children to be sexual deviants. Not all schools, of course, but in general, yes. So there's enormous amount of work that needs to be done, and I'm up for it. And John, I'm sure, would be up for it. And there
Yes.
are other people, across the country who would be party to that, in globally or nationally.
Well, I will tell you both that I need you both on TECN TV as often as I can get you. I'm going to tell you that the motivating factor of me contacting Judith again was the recent Hunter Biden situation,
Oh,
and the
yeah.
in, incorrigible things that were found on that laptop. And too often our families go, and what? So what? And people don't understand that that speaks volumes to the decadence in our society, that we not only abort our children, but we are willing to sexually abuse and molest our children, not just only in the hotel bedrooms, but also on our very television screens. And so I want to thank you all so much for being here to enlighten so many people who tuned in to watch tonight. And I look forward to you all coming back over the next few months as this particular case with Hunter Biden goes on, so that we can begin to elucidate and as well illuminate those who need direction in their lives. God bless you all. Dr. Judith Reisman,
God bless
Jon
you.
Uhler,
God bless you, Ken.
you guys are simply awesome. God bless you.
And there is also, I noticed,
Voicemail.
I noticed on John's phone when he was doing the presentation showing the voicemails from his daughter, with his daughter asking him for advice for years and years and years on end on various topics, looking for his support and guidance. I noticed all these calls from Judith Reisman on his voicemail. I said, John, I wonder if you could play these for me, and I will add them to this video. So he kindly took the time and did that for me. So what I want to emphasize here is Jon Uhler should be receiving the same accolades and praise and professional acknowledgement that Judith Reisman and Robert Hare receive. But instead, he's under attack because he is exposing the trans, furry, transgender, that whole thing as a fraud. Because that sexual predators are trying to normalize and make legal so that they can predate on women and children. And Jon is willing to take on that battle and take the flak. But I just wanted to point out Judith Reisman, world renowned, collaborated with him. And they were actually going to write a book together, and she passed away before they could do that. And in the voicemails, you hear that discussed, so I'll cut that in.
Judith Reisman voicemails, July 24th, 2020.
Hey, Jon, would you be interested in getting paid? Not all that much. We'll have a limit because I have this little grant to continue my research. Look, I'm just looking at the data. The American Law Institute Model Penal Code got, what did they get when I look it up? Wait a minute. They got, yeah, almost 3 million to do the model penal code from the bad guys, from the Rockefellers, and there are things like that. And if you're good, if you would consider, I don't know if you're hard up for, I think, yeah. So give me a call. Maybe how much do they pay an hour? Because it's got to be in line with what the grant people. I don't have all that much, but I could maybe come up with about $2,000. Anyway, give me a call back. Bye.
October 16th. October 16th, 2020.
Listen, I'm doing an interview tonight. I'm going to tell them to interview you too on transgender. And what's his name's claim that 18 or whatever men who are dressed as women have been killed. Do you know anything about where we are on that? I used to keep up, but I don't have. And I was thinking, making kids into transgender people, other people, that's just really an offshoot of Manchester. I mean, man, by proxy, man, whatever that is. I'll have to look it up. I forgot. Right there. Munhausen, yeah, Munhauser in by proxy. I like that. Also, I mean, should children who decide that because it's adults have done it, they always wanted to be blind. They thought they should be blind. There was the blind, the scout who let herself be made blind. What about the ones who want to have their amputation, amputated, which there have been? If children want to do those things, can they do that too? Or have parts taken off because they want to be a dog? I don't know. Give me a call when you can. It's Judith.
October 16th, a little bit later in that same day.
Hey, Jon, I plugged you at the very end. Yes. Okay. And I didn't even talk about any of the killings, so that's going to be your bailiwick. Okay. Thank you so much. Bye. I'm going to sleep. Bye.
October 24th, 2020.
Hey, Jon, you were terrific. Listen, how about we do a book together? Yeah, it blends so well. I have to get through this business, though. We have a couple of little issues to clear up about the status of the offender and victim. Anyway, but really, superb. I thought it was absolutely superb. Cheerio.
Again, that was October 24th, 2020. Now October 26th.
I think I'm sending you something, so take a quick look at it and get back to me, please. Thank you, if it works. Or even if it doesn't work, I mean, just get back. Yeah.
That wasn't the right one. Okay, shows you our rapport.
So I misspelled your name. I fixed it on the last thing, but I didn't fix it. Well, anyway, can you fix it? It's on the front page. I didn't have your right name. So, because I want to try and get this out, check it and see what you think. It's only the oral business. But I hope I explained it well. Okay, I'm going to be really busy today and tomorrow, but I'll work on it. And whatever you think tonight. Well, goodbye. Thank you. Bye. Or call me.
Judith reminds me of me a little bit. Okay, this is October 26th. If I can get it. 8:17 p.m.
Hi, John. John. So please look at the one I sent. I think the one I sent has also corrected your spelling. I'm not sure. So, I decided to look at it and thank you very much. Bye.
Okay, October 27th, 2020.
John, I realized I forgot something that you can maybe help me with, and I'm on my way out to pick up Blanca anyway, and then go to school. In the hardcore porn scene with the chicky dude, that's where she sees the finger business for the first time, right? Yes. Can you please do just a close up of that, of her, the one with the finger, and put it a piece, just the piece where she's doing that, because that's just up for what's really going on. They are learning everything from the chickies. Anyway, could you please put that up in the front? Put that in the front. I'll think about how I want to do it all afterwards, but get that in there, and then the rest of it is okay. So please, can you do that? Thank you so much. Have a good day. Bye.
Judith was working on a project for the Attorney General of Texas at the time when the movie Cuties came out. So that's what we were doing. She and I are both analyzing the film. So then we're going to jump to January 18th, 2021. No, hold on here. Sorry. January 18th. The rest are just busy. She and I just leaving work-related voicemails. But the thing to keep an ear out for is when we started to speak French. We don't know French, but I was Jean and she was Judith.
John, I just now remember what we were going to be doing. Yeah, I just finished the thing with the Polish seminar and got my FBI video cleaned up, sort of, I hope. And my head is kind of clear. So I forgot. Yeah, we have to do a presentation. Wow. So give me a call when you can, please, and maybe we can arrange something. All right. Thank you so much. Hope all is well with you and yours, your lovely wife. Yes. Bye-bye.
Judith enjoyed interacting with Susan. Okay, this is January 24th, January 24th, 2021.
Hi, John. I just sent you an invitation to my Zoom because, let me see, send. Okay. No, I don't want to. Yeah, I want to send. Okay. Because I just want to check. I think I'm trying a new coloring device. I have always had it. Anyway, so give me a call if you're coming in on my Zoom. That would be fun. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, February 12th, 2021.
Hey, John, give me a call. I want to know where things stand with what we have or don't have. Because we're supposed to do something soon, right? Cheerio. Bye.
We were going to be co-presenting together. That's funny. And then February 13th, right there. We have two of them. 13th, 2021.
Hey, John, just watched the video. Boy, that was good what you did. Gee whiz. Makes it almost viewable. Give me a call when you can. And what time are we supposed to be doing this thing? Let me look. I have. Let me see. I wrote it down. And where are we supposed to be doing it? I mean, is somebody gonna call? Huh. 4 o'clock? Something like that. Okay, give me a call. Thanks so much. Bye.
That was the co-presentation we were going to be doing together. And this was a little bit later.
So call me when you get a chance. I thought your presentation was brilliant. Thank you. Bye.
March 4th, 2021.
Hey, John. It's John. I see you called. I returned the call. I just got shot up. Talk to you later. This is Judith. Goodbye.
By the way, when she says shut up, that was the actual first jab. She died shortly after taking the second. And then I'll just play one more. This will be March 8th.
Hey, John, give me a call. John, please tell you. I wanted to know your opinion of the statements and so on that I sent by Dorcas. Became a real problem. But they've wiped it out. It's good. Bye-bye.
Okay, there you go. That was the relationship between Judith and myself.
The next thing I wanted to discuss is Robert Hare. Again, Alan Watt, the man I transcribed shows for, discussed Robert Hare a lot, many times. These are two of Robert Hare's books that I've read, both Snakes in Suits and Without Conscience. And Robert Hare discusses how you can identify and spot a psychopath, because that's a necessary thing to know. You know, you don't want to hire someone or have them be your boyfriend or coworker. And this helps you to understand that. And Robert Hare goes into it in great detail. Let me see. Let's say, the thing that I wanted to point out that's different, John has been certified and taken a class and become certified in the Robert Hare psychopathy checklist. I guess he did a Zoom call, got certified, and all that. But what I want people to know is I've read Robert Hare's work and it's good. It's incredibly valuable. But I'm going to say right here and now, it just scratches the surface of psychopathy. When I first saw Jon Uhler's work on psychopathy and sociopathy and sexual predation and how various different topics, he drilled down on Robert Hare's work, and it is so much more comprehensive, more detailed, and easier to understand. And it covers such a broad range of subjects for a person to be able to identify a psychopath, more so than Robert Hare's work ever did. Yes, this is the foundation for the work, but Jon Uhler improved it. And it's my hope that someday his work will be published and he will be just as lauded and renowned as Robert Hare and Judith Reisman. What I want to do is show you, I took some images off of a video that he did in an interview discussing this. So Robert Hare will talk to you about how a psychopath, sorry, I need to share, how a psychopath, can't hold down a job, can't maintain a relationship, what they do in the workplace, how they behave. But like again, Jon Uhler drilled down. He was able to, and this is a chart. This is just the top section. I'll show you the middle section, the lower section, and there's yet another section I couldn't quite find. If John sends that to me and I have time, I'll add it in here. But John will show you from a left to right scale how a person's conscience, progressive violation of conscience into a permanent reprobate condition, interacts with and interweaves with where they're at in the criminal justice system, where they're on the continuum of sexual objectification, predation, and perpetration, the degrees of their deviant arousal, motivation, degrees of intentional harm, the categories of pornography they're going to be watching. So from left to right, you're going from healthy to absolutely reprobate, sadistic criminal behavior in all these different categories. So imagine you see this line here. There are 10 different categories. And you can see if someone's in for 25 to 50 years, where they at are in this scale. And I'm not going to go into the details. I will put links to John's talks on this so that you can educate yourself and learn. But this is the first level of that chart. Here is the second level of that chart. It will get into the degrees of pornography, and that's what these white lines are. And what the perpetrator's goal is they're moving from self-satisfaction to manipulation to deceiving, stealing, and now they want to blemish their victim, tarnish their victim, spoil them, impact, harm, to damage and destroy. You can understand from this chart where people are at in their level of psychopathy and sadistic sexual behavior, any kind of sexual deviance, their levels of their degrees of malice and forethought, moving from being purposeful to now they're calculating, strategic, malicious, malevolent, sadistic, their purpose and intent. And as I said, this chart goes on. Here's the next level of it. Their wish to render defenseless and inflict trauma on someone, overwhelm and immobilize, horrify, incapacitate, terrorize, split the mind, ensure compliance, secure silence. And there's a whole nother level to this chart that I haven't shown yet. So I will get that chart from John and I'm going to cut it and paste it in here. It's just not ready. for my video. I needed to make it now, and I will add that in later. So, Robert Hare is lauded throughout uh, um, his career field as well. Robert Hare, let me blow this up. Life and Legacy of Psychologist Robert Hare. Robert Hare is a prominent figure in the field of psychology, particularly known for his extensive research on psychopathy. His work has significantly influenced the understanding and assessment of psychopathic behavior, making him a pivotal figure in both clinical and forensic psychology. Hare's development of the Psychopathy Checklist Revised has become a cornerstone in the diagnosis and study of psychopathy, impacting both academic research and practical applications in criminal justice systems worldwide. So that's really what I wanted to put out there is Jon Uhler is not a fraud. He knows what he's doing. He knows his stuff. Again, Judith Reisman in her books, this is a footnote for her book. Oh, geez, did I just lose it? Oops, page 6 and 7. Sorry about that. Here we go. The use of such a term psychopath is not simply hyperbole. It is used in the clinical sense of the word. Academic researchers such as Robert Hare, who I just talked to you about, and James Fallon, PhD, and he's a big deal as well, and forensic clinicians who have spent years working with incarcerated psychopaths in long-term solitary and general population, such as Jon K. Uhler, LPC, each concur that the clinical definition of a psychopath can be boiled down to someone lacking conscious empathy and remorse. Again, another footnote for Jon Uhler in her paper. And again, so Jon Uhler is no fraud. He has worked in the criminal justice system, and the hours recorded are actually, they've determined, have been underestimated, not overestimated or blown up. So I just wanted to put that out there. And who am I? I'm not anybody, but I've got a high IQ and I've studied and researched the uh, Alan Watts' work for 20 years, transcribed his shows. And Alan Watt discusses every angle of of evil that's going on in this world right now. Every single area. And that's how I had the base knowledge that when I met Jon and he started talking about psychopathy, I already knew Robert Hare's work and I already knew Judith Reisman's work. And Jon Uhler is right up there, if not equivalent, in the importance of his work. Not just with survivors, his clients that are survivors of sadistic sexual abuse, but right up there with helping criminals and ex-cons repair their lives and not go back to jail. I would love to put a challenge out there to someone to look at and check with all of the criminals or ex-cons that Jon has worked with, and let's see what their recidivism rate is. How many of them have gone back to jail? I dare say none of them, because what Jon does works. It's true, it's accurate, correct, and it's powerful. The man knows his stuff. So that's all I really wanted to say. Thank you for listening. And if you're part of this campaign to destroy Jon Uhler, it's not going to work. He's too smart for you. You will not outsmart him. You may have taken him off the playing field for 8 or 9 months to prepare his, response to you. But once that happens, you are done. You are done because you are the deviants. And for those of you who are not sure about Jon Uhler and you're just checking in to say, well, what's this all about? The man knows his stuff. I'm one of his clients. I'm about to stop being his client because I don't need him anymore. I know I'm happier and more confident and can handle my work from here on out. So he knows what he's doing. He's a great man. He needs to be published, and his work needs to spread across the world, and it needs to be taught in every grade school, high school, college, and university across the planet so that we can spot and identify psychopaths, predators, sexual deviants, and change our world for the better. So that's what I have to say about Jon Uhler and his association with Judith Reisman and Robert Hare. Thanks for listening. Bye.